All right. Good morning. I want to tell you a story about this fellow who was a bagpiper. He played lots of gigs, and recently he was asked by a funeral director to play at the graveside service for a homeless man. This man had no family, he had no friends, so the service was actually going to be at the Paupers Cemetery, way in the back country. So the bagpiper was not particularly familiar with his way around the backwoods, and he got lost, and being a typical man, did not stop and ask for directions. He finally arrived just over an hour late and saw that the funeral had evidently already come and gone, and that the hearse was nowhere in sight, and there were only the gravediggers and the crew from the cemetery left eating their lunch. And so he felt really badly and, apologized to the men for being late, and went to the graveside and looked down and in and saw that the lid was already in place. He didn't know what else to do, and so he started to play his bagpipes. And the workers put down their lunches, and they began to gather around, and he just played his heart and soul out for this man who had no family and no friends. He said, "I've played like I've never played before to honor this homeless man." And as he played Amazing Grace, the workers began to weep, and the bagpiper began to weep. He said, when he finished, he said, "I packed up my bagpipes and started for my car." He said, and though my head was hung really low, my heart was just full. He said, and as I opened the door to my car, I heard one of the workers say, "I've never seen anything like that before. And I've been putting in septic tanks for over 20 years. Come on. Thank you. You know you're going to tell that one. You know you will. All right, here we go. So the Science of Mind teaching that we offer here is different from the way many of us have been taught to live. This is why the saying, "to learn how to think is to learn how to live," is so applicable, is so relevant to us. Other people have often said to me that, well, I've heard about the Science of Mind, I've read it, and it just seems like common sense to me. And I think that Ernest Holmes, the founder of our teaching, would say, yes, absolutely, this is a common sense kind of thing. So here's my 10-cent definition of what we teach, because people often say, I just don't know what to say to people. People say, well, where are you going to church? And I just freeze. I think, oh my God, they're going to ask me if it's Scientology, and it's going to be this, and it's like, no, it's not. Here's what you can say. 3 things. God is all there is. God is in and through all things, all people, all things. God is all there is. That your thought is the most powerful thing you have to work with to heal and evolve and grow your life. Your thought is the most powerful thing you have to work with. And the 3rd thing is that love is a better way to be in the world. It's pretty simple. God is all there is. Your thought is the most powerful thing you have to work with. And love is a better way to be in the world. I mean, between you and I, we've tried not love, right? We've tried it. We see not love on the news an awful lot. And the result is never very good. So clearly, love is a better way to be in the world. So we come together, and we join together as a community to be reminded of what on some level I think we already know. So coming together is really about fortifying us so that we can go back out into the world and be the person we want to be. We can go back out into the world with our heart open and be more loving. We can go back out into the world expecting good, expecting healing. Yeah. So coming to church is great, I think. I think it is. Coming to church is great. But it's only part of the path. So do not delude yourself into thinking that if you come to church, that's the whole spiritual path. Buddha says to take refuge in the Sangha, and the Sangha is the community. So yes, be a part of the community. There are ways that you get accelerated spiritually, ways that you get healed, and ways that you get lifted up spiritually by coming together and we practice as a group. And those ways do not happen alone. You know, the more we deepen in our path spiritually, there are things that can only be healed in the two or more. This is why I say we do this work alone together. You know, so it becomes very important that we participate in a group, in the Sangha, but also that when we go home, we do our own spiritual work. You know, I love this story. There was a character in an ashram, a spiritual community. It was of an Eastern orientation. I don't know if you've ever had anybody like this in your life, but all the people in the ashram were going to the teacher, the guru, and saying, this guy's got to go. He's driving us crazy. You know, everything about him just makes us nuts. He's got to go. If we could get rid of him, we could all really practice spiritually. You know, if we could get rid of him, we could be so peaceful. If we could get rid of him, we could be so loving. He's the obstacle to our spiritual growth. If he weren't here, we could be so spiritual. And the guru would never go for it. So one day, all of these people living in the ashram ganged up on this one individual and convinced him to leave. And they were very pleased with themselves. And so they went and told the guru of their accomplishment and how all would be well from here on out because he was no longer in the ashram, no longer living in the spiritual community with them. And they were so surprised to see the guru running after the difficult person to bring him back. In fact, the guru begged him to come back. The guru even offered to pay him to come back. You know, we know a lot of this stuff because it makes common sense. And still, we resist living this way. Mm-hmm. So the ashram story, I think that's like our lives a lot, don't you? That we just know we could be so spiritual if somebody would get out of our life. If we could just get rid of them, so many of our problems would be solved. I could be so peaceful, loving, compassionate, harmonious if they would just leave. You know, we've all prayed that prayer. You know the one I'm talking about when you want somebody to leave. Your good is elsewhere. Go to it quickly. You know? Yeah. And that works. It works. The only problem with that is if something has not been healed in us, when we pray somebody away, then 2 or 3 come to take their place. You know, and it usually just gets worse. I said your mind and my mind is the most powerful thing we have to change our lives. So this is because your mind and my mind are powerfully creative. That you can use your mind to create heaven on earth, or you can use your mind to create a living hell. You know, heaven on earth, living hell. It all comes through the avenue of your mind. So we look at the world around us and we see some pretty terrible stuff going on out there, don't we? We might say, wow, it's a scary, rough, and violent world out there. Now, here's where science of mind gets really, really difficult, because science of mind always makes us look within. And so if I see scary, rough, and violent world out there, the science of mind says that's because it's scary, rough, and violent in here still. And that's the part that people really, really don't like. But you know, perception is projection. You know, how you view things is how you see things in the world. And if that violence and scariness and roughness lives in you, you will project it out onto the world. The human personality doesn't want to see that. It doesn't want to see that it's within us, that we are using our own creative power against ourselves. How? Well, by thinking lovelessly, by entertaining fearful thoughts, by believing that we're separate from God and each other, by whatever unique little error thinking we may have, by not forgiving, by rehearsing in our mind and everybody we talk to over and over again what we don't want, by believing that who we are is not enough, that somehow there's like a piece missing, like you were this box from IKEA. And you open it up and get it all laid out on your floor, and there's one essential piece that's missing. You know, that's how many of us have felt. So by the same token, All that we desire, Science of Mind teaches us, is already within us. God created us that way. Nothing missing, nothing broken. See, it's never that God must not want me to have thus and such. People love to say that to me. Well, it must not be God's will for me. God must not want me to have love in my life. God must not want me to be abundant. God must not want me to be creatively expressed. First of all, God does not have a poverty consciousness. God does not have a lack consciousness. God does not want for anything. God is. God is ising all the time. You know, God is busy being God all the time. God is a principle of abundance. So God is being abundance all the time. God is a principle of love. God is being love all the time. God is a principle of creativity. God is being creative all the time. So it's not that God must not want you to have whatever it is you want to fill in the blank with. The gift has already been made. It already exists. It's already within us. Then what's the obstacle? It's within our thinking. It's something that we are believing that God is not believing. It's something that we are telling ourselves that God is not telling itself. You know, God does not have a lack and poverty consciousness. Because we don't believe it is within, we think it must be without, right? That's where it must be. It's not within me. I've looked, not in here. Okay, it must be without. And because we believe it's without, that's why we feel separate. That's why we believe, that's why we get so needy. You know, if you feel separate, you will think that the parade, that life is just passing you by. And the only chance you have is to try and control everyone and everything. How many of us know that hasn't worked very well? Yeah. Because as soon as you get one person shaped up, you know there's just a line of other people. Right? As soon as you get one person to even partially do what you know they need to do, and they start to be the way you know they need to be. See, because what we say is that if things were different, I could be happy, right? Haven't we all said that? If things were different, I could really be happy. If he was different, I could be really happy. If she were different, I could be really, really happy. Our good is not dependent on anyone or anything out here in the world. We have to make our universe bigger. How big would my consciousness need to be? How big would my belief in God need to be? How big would my universe need to be? Because if I think someone or a particular situation should be different, and then I would be happy, I got to tell you, there's just so much wrong with that kind of thinking. It is not spiritually principled at all. And it's the kind of thinking that just keeps you trapped in this vicious, vicious cycle. You're telling the universe that your happiness is dependent on other people living up to your expectation or meeting your pictures. That is probably not going to happen. You know, it just isn't. Why? They're a soul. They're a soul. And that soul that they are has their own journey, their own path, their own lessons. And according to you, they may never figure it out. They may never learn. They may never rise up to your exalted level of being. Right? So do you really think that judging them helps them or helps you? No, really, it does not. It does not. And if you judge them, because the universe is reciprocal, because what you give out, you get back, you will feel very, very judged yourself. You will always feel like there are people around you in your universe that are judging you. They may not even be doing that, but because you've put that out there, you will feel that back. In Science of Mind, we do not have a judgmental God. We do not have a judgmental God. You know, we have thought that one up because we're so judgmental. The truth is, God made you perfect, and at the same time, on earth, in Humanville, we are all going through what we need to go through to evolve, to grow, to heal, and to wake up. You say, well, if I'm perfect, why do I need to heal and wake up? You tell me. I don't know. Why do you think you do? Ernest Holmes says it like this. He says, the soul is on a journey. So your soul and my soul are on a journey. The journey is back to the Father's house. And he says, and everybody eventually makes it. Everybody eventually makes it. And we don't get to say when that is. You know, I feel like God has been extraordinarily patient with me, and I think it's my job to be patient with other people. Because, you know when our life and our world is not all it could be, don't we? We just have this sense that the universe, that God has more for us, and we're not rising up to really embrace that. So it cannot be different, though, unless something changes, unless something gets healed in our consciousness. You know, Gandhi said that you have to be the change you want to see in the world. And the way Ernest Holmes says this in our Science of Mind textbook is that Ernest Holmes says you can have whatever you become in consciousness. Right? So we can always become more in consciousness. Remember, our thought is the most powerful creative thing we have to evolve and heal and grow our life. So we always have the capacity to become more in consciousness. And so a way to start, the way this starts is at the mental level, I am loving. I am the consciousness of love. Say that. I am loving. I am the consciousness of love. I am whole. I am the consciousness of wholeness. I am prosperous. I am the consciousness of prosperity.
I am prosperous. I am the consciousness of prosperity.
So there are lots of things in the science of mind that teach us how to become more in consciousness. So we would affirm words of truth like we just did. And we would pray in an affirmative way, do spiritual mind treatment. We would meditate. We would study words of truth. And you know, it occurs to me that really the alpha and the omega of love are first forgiveness and then gratitude. You know, so when we're challenged by people and we really want to judge them up one side and down the other, what we have to do is forgive. We have to forgive them for whatever they've done, and we have to forgive ourselves. So the beginning is forgiveness. And you forgive and forgive and forgive and forgive and forgive until you don't have to forgive anymore. People think it's a one-shot deal, like it's an inoculation. Oh, I forgave once, that's it. You know, it's like, no. I mean, especially if the offense is big, if it penetrated you deeply or affected your belief system about yourself or influenced the decision you made about life, you're going to have to do that tens of thousands of times maybe to forgive. And you say, well, why do I have to do it? Why do I have to do it? Because you want your life to be better. That's why. And how do you know you're done? People have asked me this so often. They say, how do you know when you're done forgiving? And it's like, oh, because it changes into gratitude. That's why I say it's the alpha and the omega. You begin with forgiveness and you end with gratitude. Because when you can finally look at it and say, I am grateful that happened because of what I've learned, because of how I've grown, because of how it changed me, because of the person I've had to become as a result of that, I am grateful that that took place. Look, the big cosmic picture, you as a child of God, as an expression of infinite loving spirit, are too good for judgmental, petty, miserable thoughts. And it's important that you start to see yourself that way. I am too good as an expression of infinite loving spirit to think those miserable, judgmental thoughts. That thinking is not worthy of you. Emma Curtis Hopkins says to cast down all your accusations. That's a lot of casting down, isn't it? Huh? Casting down all, you should get rid of it. You should get rid of all your accusations, all your judgments. You know, so what do we do then? You say, well, we look at people and silently say to yourself, I accept you, I bless you, I accept you, I bless you, I accept you, I bless you, I accept you, I bless you. Or we turn on the news, look at the paper, say, I accept this, I bless this, I accept this, I bless this. And what do we think about ourselves? I think, the truth is that I am whole and complete in God. And that other people, you are whole and complete in God. So I am whole and complete in God. Say that. I am whole and complete in God. And now you're looking at somebody else, you're driving by, they're on the sidewalk, they're at the bus stop, they're doing the crosswalk, and what we say is, oh, you are whole and complete in God.
You are whole and complete in God.
That's much better. That does so much more for them and for you than having some judgmental thought about them. See, the personality says, yeah, you know, it's always interesting to me how there's a part of the human personality that wants to hold on to the worst possibility. You know, it's like, you know, when you're a kid, if you come home and you've got 5 A's on your report card, but there's 1 B, what do people say? What's with this B? Huh? Not like, whoa, 5 A's, dig it, that's terrific, right? Now, what's with the B? Or 100 people love your work and love what you're doing, and they tell you, oh my God, your work is fantastic. But one person goes, eh. Who do you stay up all night listening to? 3 o'clock in the morning, pacing around the island in the kitchen. Just you and What do you mean, I'm sure if they knew me, they'd really like me better. I'm sure, no, really, they didn't give me a chance. Well, what's wrong with me that they think, that we'll just run with that. We'll just run with that. Always, always, always. So I now understand that the more we judge, the more we will feel judged. The more we judge, the more we'll feel separate from God and life and love and good and other people. The more we are less likely to believe in the perfection of God that God created within us, the more life is not going to work for us. Jesus taught the kingdom of heaven is at hand and the kingdom of heaven is within. See, but we won't have access to it if we're always judging. Judging keeps that door completely closed. We don't get heaven here and now because we're so busy judging. We sort of like miss the off-ramp. So God sent those people into your life. Don't you wonder why? You say, God, why are these people here? Oh, how did I attract this? Why did the universe bring me these goobers? Right? And the answer is God sent those people into your life for you to love and bless them. And you're missing it. We are missing the opportunity. Oh, God, why is this person in my life? For you to love and bless them. Because if you were loving and blessing them, a couple of things could happen. One, you would change. Your consciousness would actually rise up. You would get healed, is what I'm saying, if you were loving and blessing them. Another possibility is they might get healed. They might go somewhere else. They might go somewhere else because there's nothing in you keeping them here for you to get woken up. Does this make sense? See, so if you really want them to go, love and bless them. Yeah, really. So, and now the good thing about this is that, whenever we really, really heal something, there is space for newness to be born. Because when we get healed, God can bring forth something greater than we've ever known before through us in that place where the healing took place. So this time of year right now is the on-ramp for the season of light, for Christmas, right? So look, it's not that you can't ever share with somebody. Because you know how sometimes you're just dying to tell somebody what you know is going to make all the difference in their life? That if they could just see their life the way you see it, with such profound clarity, with such knowing of what they need to do and how they need to be. When you feel like you just really, really want to share, there's a big difference between sharing from your love and judging someone. And metaphysicians have become experts at judging someone, but coding it. I mean this with love. Bam! Right? A minister I used to know, she used to say that the truth without compassion is just brutality. The truth without compassion is just brutality. So if you are just burning to say something to someone, what will make, because it will really make all the difference for them? Sit on it for a week. 1 whole week. Just sit on it. Pray on it every day for a week. If it's that important to you to share, you can pray on it for a whole week, right? Pray for yourself to see the perfection in that other person for a week. Ask in prayer, what in me needs to share this? Why do I think it's my job to offer this correction to my brother, to my sister? And what's the purpose in my wanting to share this? 1 week, and you will be amazed, just absolutely amazed. Like Emma says, believe what you want and report your results. Let's pray. So we turn our attention inward now, grateful to be together in consciousness, to be in conscious community with each other as we recognize the one life, the one love, the one spirit that is God, is expressing uniquely and perfectly by means of each and every one of us. And so in the words of our beloved Emma Curtis Hopkins, we cast down all of our accusations, all of the places where we have been judgmental of ourselves and of anyone else. We recognize, it really just doesn't serve us. It actually holds us back, that judgmentalness keeps our life from being all that it could be. And so right now, we just surrender all of that. We surrender whatever it is in us that wants to be judgmental and allow for it to be made into something new, something different than anything that has gone before us. I speak the word for each and every one of us, knowing that the perfection of infinite loving spirit already exists within us. It's been placed within us from the beginning. And so we are each on a journey back to the Father's house. And I know we all make it at the perfect time for us. And as I know this is true for each and every one of us, I know it's true for all of those people in our lives. And so we accept them and we bless them and remember about ourselves that we are whole and complete in God. And so we let our prayer expand to include our family members and friends and loved ones, whoever's on our mind or heart this day. And we know the fullness and the allness of God is right there, right where they are. We let our prayer be a blessing in the world, so all of those things that we want to judge, that look so fearful and separative to us, we claim the perfect activity of infinite loving spirit there, that God is in every person. We bless our church, we bless all churches, synagogues and temples and mosques and ashrams, all paths to God. And I know we're blessed by being together, that we all get raised up in consciousness. And so with an open, gracious, full heart, I give thanks that this is the truth, and so it is. Together we all say, Amen.